Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And this is going to be a great episode tonight. I have the cast from The Oath, a Batman fan film, Kaotica Studios. We got writer-director Johnny Kay, Jerry Morgan, who plays Sergeant Kelly, Oz Kinham, who is the gangster Atlas, and please, I hope I pronounced this name right, who plays Batman, which is awesome. I can't pronounce his name. Guillermo, who is the the Dark Knight Batman. All right, this is gonna be fun. So let's get into this. So Johnny K, what decided you to do a Batman fan film? I know you're a huge Keaton Batman fan.
Yeah, I am. I'm just a diehard Batman '89 fan. I have been since I was 9 years old, sharing my age a little bit, but it captivated me back then. It still does. And then what happened a couple years ago is Guillermo Mejia. I've had years to practice that. He's got a few other names. He's got a few other names in there too, but we don't have that kind of time tonight. But Guillermo bought himself a Batman costume, and I saw a couple pictures of it online, and it just brought me right back to Batman '89. I wanted to get him over here and do a photo shoot, and probably 3 pictures into that shoot, I knew we were going to make a movie, and we just needed to write a script around that suit, which is ironic because the movie was not about Batman at all. Now you know that it's out. Batman is kind of the shark in Jaws. But he came over, did the photo shoot, and then script after that, all these talented actors, plus a couple other guys, Chris Conkey and Michael Stonebow, who are on here with us tonight. Those guys signed on, and next thing you know, we were filming a Batman movie out in the frigid, cold streets of Petersburg, Virginia. But it all traces back to Guillermo and buying his Batman costume.
Oh yeah, Guillermo. How did you come up with the Batman costume? How long did it take for it to be made? I mean, it looks exactly like the '89 costume, which is pretty cool.
I mean, in terms of getting the suit, it actually took me a little while to do the research. I'd wanted to do Michael Keaton cosplay for years. It was like my white whale, or at least one of them, one of those things that I knew I would cosplay. I just needed to have the time and the money to research where to get it done. When the pandemic started, I had, just what I needed. I had a lot of free time, and I had disposable income that wasn't being used on travel. So researched a little bit, and I came across on Instagram a page called the Cave Creature Workshops. They're based out in Colombia. And basically, unlike every other seller that I was finding online on multiple different websites, they were selling everything. They had the cowl, the boots, the cape. Everything I needed was with them. So basically, I talked with them. It helped that we could speak Spanish, so I could communicate exactly what I needed with them. Figured it out. It seemed like a safe purchase, so I still took a little bit of a gamble and put the order in. And the craziest part was not the actual making of the suit. It was 2020, so it was more like, is a big old box from Colombia even going to make it all the way to the U.S. in the middle of a lockdown? So that was the nerve-wracking part. But it got here, and then the rest is history.
So when you had the costume on when you were being filmed, how did it feel to do that famous turn from the cow?
The first time I did it in front of a mirror, it felt great. The 78th time I did it when we were filming, it felt like natural. It felt, it's probably what you think it is. It's very restrictive to wear that thing. But that's a good thing in the sense that it lends itself to recreate the movements that you see in Batman '89. That Batman moves a certain way. He has a certain body language to it. And having a suit that is as restrictive as the one that they used in the movie helps a lot with the fidelity of, the body language of Batman in our film being very similar to what you all remember from '89 and '92.
So how much fun was it where you got to use all the wonderful toys from NECA?
I was very pumped about it. There was one occasion when it came to using the Batarang, and I don't know if Jerry wants to speak to that, but I know I was given the task of, it was Johnny, the director, said, just throw the Batarang and make it look cool, and just throw it in Jerry's general direction. The camera will take care of the rest. But I had the
physics.
Yeah, physics and luck and sleep deprivation made it so that instead of going past Jerry, I think I got him in the back of the neck, the back of the head. I don't know which one.
That's pretty wild. Now let's go to Jerry Morgan, who plays Sergeant Kelly. He's the main star of The Oath. He's, a sergeant for the Gotham Police Department. And boy, he really had a lot of things on this plate, especially when he, goes up to Atlas, which was played by Oz. Those two guys had the greatest on-screen chemistry. It felt like I was really, reading a live action book. I love the dark shadows in the alley and how Oz, him and his mannerisms, and how Kelly was going to get ready to take the money to look away, or was he not? Which kind of got me invested. It's like, okay, is he really a legit crooked cop? Or is he going to, turn and walk away? So, Jerry, what was it like to work with Oz between you guys, and how much of good chemistry did you guys have?
Oz is my people, so we've known each other for a while, and I think based on our characters, the characters lended to that connection that Oz and I already have, to where that'd be something. One thing if you're friends, and then your friend is steamrolling you for some cash that you need, that there might be some feelings in there, and I think it probably carried out in there, and I probably had feelings when he touched my badge, that were in the negative side, and I was trying so hard to blow that cigarette smoke in his face. That was a little challenging.
It was cool. I mean, you guys had that like intimate reaction towards one another. And Oz, I'm going to tell you something. You play a great gangster. I don't know if you watched a lot of gangster movies or what. You had the mannerisms down, how you acted. I mean, everything, man. It was just, I could have believed you were like a legit gangster from, Chicago.
Thank you for that. This role was actually my fourth attempt at being a gangster. I had done a couple other things up in Northern Virginia for an ad agency, just being like 1920s, 1930s type of feel for like a corporate event where they have two really nice cars come in, two gangster guys and two flapper girls, to give that type of motif and that type of feeling. So I was literally greeting 250 people on the way in the door, just like, hey, you're late. I actually said that to people. So when Johnny had that in the script, I was like, why do I feel like I've said that before? It was like, it was just something I ad-libbed, just like walking to see the guy in a cane, just like, you're late. You should have been here 20 minutes ago. The car's waiting for you. Da-da-da. So I literally just emulated my first time doing that based on things that Johnny said. I don't want a Leo Getz, I don't want that guy. I don't want the typical gangster, too much of a drawl, like, Batman 89, you can have a little comedic whatnots, but I just wanted to play it muted and opposite of what Napier's character and his demeanor really is.
Yeah, because your character was actually Napier's number 2 guy. You were number 2. You weren't number 1. You were number 2.
I believe correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny, but I think you said I was an equal to Napier, and we were vying for Grissom's position.
Yeah, the Jimmy Atlas character was an original character, and I always kind of envisioned him as the other version of Jack Napier, who was played by Jack Nicholson in Batman 89. And if there was no Batman and if there was no Joker, probably Jimmy Atlas and Jack Napier would, be at it head to head over who was going to take over Carl Grissom's, criminal empire once the old man died. But instead we got Jack Napier and the Joker, and Jimmy Atlas goes to jail. Spoiler.
Yeah. But during that time I got to be Atlas, and any other future things, I just wanted to play that opposite side, going, yeah, Napier's a loose cannon. He's going to be self-destructive. He's going to self-destruct. I just want to make sure I'm focused. I want to get the job done, and just deadpan, if you will, but still have. Well, no, just have that. Just be that.
Hey Jerry, so were you hoping you weren't going to get hit by the batarang?
So the batarang, I actually gave a lot of thought to that. When they said they're going to throw it, it's going to wrap around my boots, and I'm going to fall down when he yanks it back. I started thinking, I'm not one that does physics, but I think about it, and I was like, that's not going to work. We're going to have to really play this out, and it's going to take a little leg work. But bump. So the idea of it actually spinning around, I believe we had to do it in reverse. I mean, we tried a couple of different ways to do it. I held it and tried to spin it around, and I don't necessarily remember which version made it in there, but I think it was in reverse, that we were spinning it back off and we made it forward. I think that's what we did.
Okay, I was just wondering how that worked out, That's why I was asking you. Johnny K, I love the score and the music in it. How did you get a legit French composer to do the score for the film?
That's the beauty of the internet, man. Anything's out there if you just look long enough, And our main composer is a guy named Francesco Di Andrea. I believe he's actually Italian, but he lives in France. And I found him, through the beauty of the internet. And actually, I licensed some of his music to use as temporary tracks while I edit. I love to edit to music. That's just something I've always loved to do. It kind of gets me into the rhythm and gets me in, the tone that I'm going for. So I'm always editing the music. And usually what happens is when I try to put another piece of music in that's different than what I've been listening to for months as I've edited the movie, I can't make it work. I want to go back to what I first heard and first put in there. And Francesco, his music was in there as a temp track from day one, pretty much. And a lot of that stayed in the final cut. And, his opening theme to the movie, it's a track called March of the Giants. And that's the only reason we put opening credits in the Oath. You typically don't do that for a short film. You don't want to, if your movie's 18 minutes long, you don't want to bore people with 3 minutes of opening credits. You just don't need to do that. But in our case, I really wanted to set the tone and set the mood and that kind of Batman 89 vibe. And, I mean, there's nothing that could do that better than that song. And the first time I ever heard March of the Giants, I mean, that was it. There was never a number two. That was going to be the opening of our film. It was also the closing of our film. I threw it in the middle because I loved it. I've actually heard that song like 10 times a day, every day of my life for about 18 months probably. And I still love it. One of our other actors, he actually told me the other day, he said, man, and this is a direct quote from Chris Conkey, he said, man, every time I hear that song, I feel like I can punch a lion in the face. And I'm like, well, that's a descriptive way of putting it, but I know what you mean, man. But yeah, that all came from Francesco, and then two other composers that worked in the movie are Jordan Hatfield and Jacob Piatris, who is actually in Poland. And we had a lot of communication with those guys, and they're pretty thrilled that their music was used in a Batman fan film. Everybody happens to be big Batman fans, so that always helps.
Oh, I know. We are all Batman fans. I mean, it's just great. And the thing I liked about your film, it reminds me back when I was like 16 years old, going to see Batman 89 for the very first time at the theater, and I waited in line for like 3 hours. I cut school and played hooky to wait in line to see Batman. which was pretty fun, and I love it because it felt like I was watching a movie serial. You know how you had the serials back in the day, but was like in the continuing universe of Batman 89. It just reminded me of a action-packed serial.
Love that, man. Yeah, that was the goal, and you can tell by our comments on YouTube. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of people asking, "Hey, when's the next one coming out?" And that keeps me up at night because right now I just want to take a nap and cuddle up by the Christmas tree and read a book for a few weeks and not think about things. But there's a lot of people asking, "Hey, when's the next one coming?" And
Hey, that's pretty good because your movie on YouTube has over 79,000 views, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's definitely the Killer Grassy Ridge was my first. You always remember your first, and it went around the world and did great on the festival circle. But in terms of actual eyeballs on your movie, I mean, the movie's been out the movie's been out a week on YouTube, and I mean, 80,000 views in a week. We're averaging basically 10,000 views a day. I don't know what that is per minute, but it's staggering to me. When you just think about how many eyeballs are actually on your work and on the talent, of these guys here, the actors, and I love it, man. Like it's like a crack addiction or something. Now I just want to, put another one out next week and do the same thing. But...
Hey, that's pretty cool because
I think your number's bigger. There's more than one person watches the film too. When I first watched it, I watched it with 4 people. So you got to think more. There's a greater number out there that's actually seen it.
Oh yeah.
I think it's great because it's getting around the web, and you got the attention by Comic Book Resources, which did a good article on you guys. That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. It's so big of a deal. I'm going to print off that headline and front pager, and I'm probably going to print it because, CBR, which is the end all be all for comic book news, one of the big entertainment websites. In their headline, they called us studio quality. And I mean, those 2 words, they don't mean much to some people, but they meant a hell of a lot to me, when I saw that. I know it means a lot to these guys. And I kind of always had my own preconceived notions about fan films. A lot of them aren't the best quality because folks make them on the budget they have. And sometimes those budgets aren't high at all. And sometimes the quality can be lacking a bit. And with a lot of the fan films I'd seen over the years. And I think that's just one of the preconceived notions that some fan films, not just tooting our own horn here, but some fan films really can kind of strike that chord and hit the nerve and really trigger something with the folks that see it. And when CBR, put that in the headline, it'd be one thing if they just wrote the article, but the headline was like studio quality Batman fan film expands Dark Knight universe. And I'm like, holy crap. Like I couldn't write a better headline for my own movie than that. So I'm going to print it. It's going to go on the wall, I think.
And the cool thing I liked about The Oath, I do agree. It felt like a studio quality, film you would see at the movie theater. The thing I liked about it, I noticed in the film, which I enjoy, I love the cinematography of it. Whoever was like really shooting knew what they were doing. They got the great angles of all the characters and where to shoot to get that $1 million, special scene. And also, the editing was phenomenal on the film. I noticed stuff like that. So
I'll just say thank you to both of those, man. I appreciate it.
And I want to bring up our AD Romel. He was stellar in helping get the cinematography for some of those shots. He is literally sometimes the unsung hero of this stuff. He probably doesn't get enough credit as he deserves, but he is.
I concur.
He is awesome.
Absolutely.
So, Guillermo, how much preparation did it take after you got the suit on to, do some of your of action scenes? Did you have to prepare and, do practice a little of the choreograph before?
Absolutely. Any fight sequence, I recommend if you're ever going to try, don't just go out there like a total noob and just be like, all right, I'm going to throw some hits and hopefully none of them land. We actually, I didn't know, the suit wasn't exactly built for stunts. It was built to look good.
Mm-hmm.
So and like Johnny said, we took some pictures and then we're like, can we build a movie around it? So we wrote a movie, and halfway through, I guess, drawing up plans, Johnny hits me with all right, we have a fight scene in this movie that we're going to do. Can you move in the suit? And I very honestly told him, we can find out together, I guess. There were definitely, we brought in a fight choreographer and everything. We did choreography. We practiced the whole sequence. Tested put that suit to the limits for sure. Before we filmed that weekend, I'd never worn that suit for more than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at best. And I want to say that every night we filmed, the least amount of time I spent in that suit was 5 hours. So it was difficult, and it was very constricting, very limited, and we may have had an accident or two involving Oz, but made for better movies, I guess.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
I can tell you did, Oz. I bet you had a ball. I'm really, you probably did.
Oh, I had an absolute marvelous time. Everything from the cold weather to acting with my close friends that I just wished I lived closer to, so I could actually spend time with and get closer to. Jerry, I love you.
Yeah, man.
Donnie, I love you. Guillermo, I only met you on this film, but I love you inherently already. And Chris, he's just like sees me as a mentor for some reason. But I love all of you. You're all beautiful people. I would kiss you on the lips. I would.
What about me?
Making the film, it was just so much fun. I'm a New Hampshire native, so the cold really didn't bother me. Yeah, it'll get to you after a while. You can only take so much cold, but I've been through the Navy in Great Lakes in December 6th through Valentine's Day. I was in boot camp for the Navy, and it was very cold. So firefighting training was a lot worse than what Johnny asked me to do. I was like, dude, I will lay on the ground. If I forgot my long johns, I'll still lay here and not move for the shot. I just have it in my head and just saying, this is what you want to do. You need to do what you need to do for the shot. And I honestly see myself maybe doing some of my own stunts in the future, just for the continuity and the flow. And it's like, I don't want to edit that. Well, let me fall on that. I'll fall on it. I'll do it. But just getting hit in the face, the iconic bat thing. The idea was, all right, Batty, I'm going to walk into your hit so you can hit the brim of my hat so it goes off my head. Well, it took a few times to get that depth perception right based on what his limitations were going back here, just blind shooting. And it just happened to be either he overextended, I walked into, I felt the full thing. There was great sound. It was great reaction. And I just went with it because it really wasn't that bad. So,
oh, you enjoyed it. Jerry, how did it feel to wear a Gotham Police Department police uniform with the sergeant patch and all that? How did that feel? Being in the Batman universe wearing a Gotham Police Department uniform.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. The uniform was kind of empowering. The saying is that the ladies love the guys in uniform. So we were actually walking down the street to the set, and a lady was closing up her shop, and we turned around and saw the two of us walking down the street, and she's like, "Thank you for your service." And we're like, "Oh, you're welcome." And we kept walking because we didn't want to draw any attention to us. And we had plastic guns and stuff, so we really didn't want any attention there. So it was nice that the community that we were in appreciated their law enforcement as well. But the uniform was great. The boots maybe not so much. They look great. I was trying so hard not to scuff them, but my one leg was just a little bit too big for the top of it. Just ground. That first night, it just ground into my leg, and it was a little rough. One of those grimaces that you see at the front end of the film are probably actual as that boot was grinding into me. It was. I had a pretty good gouge in there.
I bet you did. Let's talk about another character which I enjoyed. I know you guys loved working with him. He's such a cool dude. Mike, who played the bum. I mean, he played that really good and creepy at the same time.
That's just Mike Stumbo, man. I look forward to the first movie I get to make with him where I don't have him just covered in dirt looking like a homeless guy.
Right.
I want to get him cleaned up and put him in a tuxedo and shave him and freak everybody out. Mike actually, if you guys have never noticed, Mike actually has these really piercing eyes that I found out when we shot Killer Grassy Ridge. He's got great expressions in his eyes, and that's what I've always loved about Mike, and of course he's the sweetest guy in real life.
Yeah, he is.
He had he kind of has that, that bum look to him in The Oath, and of course in Grassy Ridge we made him just look like a serial killer. At least that was the intention. And in real life, he's just the sweetest guy. And he had a small role in this. The bum, we shot him out just over a few hours in one night. He was actually the last thing on our shot list to get the first day of filming. And Mike, he got into wardrobe early on in the day because it was comfortable. He could wear it all day.
Yeah.
And he sat around for hours. At least, I don't know.
Happy to be there.
At least 7 or 8 hours waiting, to be put on camera. And, some people, if you've ever worked on sets, there's a lot of downtime, whether it's an indie film or Hollywood, it's all the same. Like, there's just a lot of downtime and a lot of hurry up and wait. And, that can get under some people's skin. They feel like their time's been wasted because they're sitting around for 8 hours doing nothing, and now they kind of sprint to get to the set. That can get under some people's skin. And with Mike, he was, like I just said, he was happy to be there. He did 9 hours waiting on us to run late because it's a film set. They also all run late, all of them, no matter what. And we were running late that night. Mike had to wait on us. When it was his time to go, we got him out there. It was pouring rain during his scene, and we sat him down on some cardboard, I think, and gave him a dry place to sit for a little while. And we shot his stuff over the course of a couple of hours, and then we cut him loose. And, every night, Robin, I think we wrapped at 2 or 3 in the morning, if not later, on the last night. And, yeah, Mike was around all day and finished him at 2 or 3 in the morning, and back to the hotel he goes, and then he was back home the next day.
All right. I got a question for all of you guys. What does Batman mean to you? What's your meaning of Batman?
Oh, man, how long do we have? Short and simple. He was the first superhero I ever really got in touch with. I grew up watching the Adam West Show with my dad. My dad really loved that show, so that was one of the things. My dad was a very quiet, serious kind of guy, but that was one of those times where he would just let down his guard and we would watch Green Hornet and then we would watch Batman. So I remember Batman for that. Later on, once my parents were divorced and my stepdad came into the picture, he and I bonded a lot over his love of movies, and he loved Star Trek, Star Wars, James Bond, and Batman. Those were his big movie loves. So basically, it was just honestly, that's what it was. It was something that helped me relate to other people in my life, and even my brother. He and I had incredibly big Batman collection. So Batman is one of those things that helped me relate and probably get through the puberty of the bat, as I call it, all my early years.
I'll keep mine short. I love Batman because he has no superpowers. He's just a guy that's been through trauma, and he's trying his best to use that trauma for good. But he's also kind of a twisted dude, depending on which version there is. I mean, he's a millionaire, right, or a billionaire, and he could be dumping all that money into juvenile justice and criminal rehabilitation places, but I think he actually would just prefer to go out at night and beat people up. So there's an interesting kind of character study with the whole Batman Bruce Wayne thing. But I've loved him as a kid. He was always more interesting to me than some guy with superpowers.
My introduction to Batman, honestly, was 1989. I wasn't a comic book fan collector as a kid. I had many reasons to escape as a kid, but I didn't go that direction for some reason. But I can relate to Batman in the sense of caring for what's really right, and if you can make a difference anonymously, like a huge difference anonymously, that strikes me to the core. Even though I'm portraying a character polar opposite of that, that is the fun challenge of that. It's so easy to go into a deep, dark place of anger and hatred and just self-corruption, self-sabotage, or what have you. But I love the idea of who Batman is. Like Johnny said, he doesn't have special powers. He has great toys. And he can make a difference with special skill sets and his money. And I've inherently felt in my heart, if I had that kind of stupid money, I wouldn't don a cape, but I would be that anonymous helper for sure.
I like that. That's pretty good. And what about you, Jerry?
Well, my dad was a Trekkie, and I watched Adam West growing up, so I got to see Batman from the beginning. When I was 9, I found a number 2 Batman from 1941 or 42. I don't have it. It's long gone.
Oh my gosh!
But he was in there punching Nazis. But what I think I like, and it's been over a period of time, I like the Batmans that are detectives, that actually do the legwork and understand the criminal and chase down the clues. And I'm going to go and say that this new Batman with Robert Pattinson is probably my favorite now. I love the way it was shot, and the fact that they're solving the riddles, and they're smart. And I appreciate that. I mean, I like the crime fighting, and I like that he doesn't have superpowers. But I mean, who knows? Somebody just won $2 billion, right, in the lotto. They'll be fighting crime before we know it, right?
Exactly. Use your words, use your brain, outsmart them.
Right.
Absolutely. Love you, Jerry.
That'd be cool. Johnny K, if you do another Batman fan film, you need to do the famous one where you get Guillermo on top of a building and then get Oz, and have him like hang upside down where Batman does the famous like yo-yo up and down trying to get the answers out of the criminal.
Oh, I think we're beyond that. We're beyond that. I'm already on the ground. Conky's got me in cuffs.
We'll do all that, Robin, but there's going to be some paperwork that has to be signed. I'll tell you that.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Just remember, I got my finger on Gotham City. I know things.
You're also going to have to pay me dinner because unlike the real Batman, I don't like being up there in that suit.
You're buying us dinner.
Right?
All right. One last question, Johnny K. Let's talk about that artwork. You got that artwork of Gotham right beside you. That's beautiful. Who did that beautiful artwork?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for asking. We got the video here we're watching, but it's right over my shoulder on my wall. It's painted by a good friend of mine named Joe Gransky. I've known Joe for about 20 years. He's a portrait artist, and he does a lot of oil paintings of everything from people's wedding days to pets to I've seen him paint everything, but I've never seen him do much landscape. And he's a huge Batman fan. That's how these things go. And I asked him to, can you come up with a painting that mimics the original Brian Bishop matte painting from the opening shot of Batman '89? And Joe's like, yes, I'm going to do that. So he did too. He cranked out a prototype really fast that we used for camera tests. And we ended up sending that out as a crowdfunder perk. Somebody snatched that one within like an hour. And then the actual final piece that we used in the film, I had an ulterior motive because I really just wanted new artwork in my room in here. And I really wanted it to be Gotham City. So I didn't really need it in the movie. I just wanted it on my wall. No, that's joking. But that's where it ended up. But Joe did a great job. Did a lot of VFX work on that painting. I think we put in like 200 some street lights, going through all the streets and all that. There's a lot of things more I wanted to do to it, but one of the things with indie film and art is just knowing when it's time to stop and just get it out there because you can keep tweaking it for the rest of your life without it ever being really done. But Joe Gransky is the painter behind that. He takes commissions, so if your listeners want some fine quality art from a Batman fan, hit up Joe Gransky and he will help you out.
Okay, where can everybody find all you guys on social media so they know what you're doing next?
Catch me on Twitter. That's the best place to find me directly. I'm at that Johnny K guy. And then you can always hit the studio page, which is Kaotica Studios. And that's on all social media except TikTok because I refuse to do TikTok.
For me, just look up on Facebook, William J. Don't bother trying to find my real name. There's too many letters in there anyway. We'll be here another hour. William J on Facebook and on Instagram, William_J87.
Gary?
Oh, mine's simple. Jerry Morgan at in Facebook.
Dang, that was just plain simple.
Great. Same here for me. Just Oz Keenum at Facebook, where I do most of my posts. I have Oz _ at Instagram. Otherwise, just IMDb me, see what's going on. If you want me for anything else, I'm unemployed right now. So, industry-wise, that is. Unless you need a shower door installed, I got your back. Yeah, just my name at Gmail. That's it. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you guys, thank you for coming on. It was a blast. I've been looking forward to having you guys on. I mean, and, wish you all the best on the other great projects that come your way. And Johnny K, of course, I always love your work, and I'm dying to see what you do next. And fingers crossed, and everybody and my listeners and everybody on the internet, hoping for someday in the near future for another chapter of Batman.
I don't know about near, though.
Near, but eventually, yes.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks so much for having us on, man. It really means a lot. Appreciate you.
Yeah.